Now, for those who have not been aware, Barack Obama has been hitting the road. He is out there trying to help the Democratic Party keep the House and gain those extra 2 seats in the Senate this November. Now, there's a couple of things here I'm going to show. I have a couple of clips I'm going to show of Obama. One of them has to deal with Obama asking people to donate money to the Democratic Party. I'm going to touch on that. And the other ones have to deal with people in the audience actually calling Obama out and calling out the Democratic Party. After that, we are going to get into this discussion about the wealth inequality that happened under Obama's administration, because I think some people forget that it was under his administration where Black wealth actually tanked in this country. And I want people to never forget that, because I feel like a lot of people don't really speak about that when they interview Barack Obama. And we need to remember what it was like and what happened and how we got to where we are today. So this first clip that I want to show you, it says Obama challenges voters to ask themselves, who's got your back? Here we go.
Some of you here are on Social Security. Some of your parents are on Social Security. Some of your grandparents are on Social Security. You know why they have Social Security? Because they worked for it. They worked hard jobs for it. They have chapped hands for it. They had long hours and sore backs and bad knees to get that Social Security. And if Ron Johnson does not understand that, if he understands giving tax breaks for private planes more than he understands making sure that seniors who've worked all their lives are able to retire with dignity and respect, he's not the person who's thinking about you and knows you and sees you, and he should not be your senator from Wisconsin.
We're going to rewind back, and I'm going to chime in here and there because there are certain things he said here that I want you to pay attention to, and I really want to address, because he's kind of calling himself out here in a second.
Some of you here are on Social Security. Some of your parents are on Social Security. Some of your grandparents are on Social Security. You know.
Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about who's on Social Security, right? The majority of Americans are not on Social Security. I want you to pay attention to this because you know what the Democratic Party is doing, right? They're speaking to the demographic that likely comes out to vote. They're speaking to people 65 and up. They're speaking to the people who are on Social Security. They're speaking to the people who are qualify, or at least qualify for Medicare, right? They're not talking to us. Keep this in mind, right? When it comes to people who are, I guess they would still be Gen X at this point, Gen X, Millennial, Gen Z, they're not talking to us. And you know why I say that? Maybe it'll happen for Gen X, but for my generation, even for Millennials, we may not even get Social Security by the time we're old enough to get it. You know that, right? They've been talking about that for years. So he's speaking to a certain demographic, a certain group of people. He's not speaking to younger people. Let's go on.
You know why they have Social Security? Because they worked for it. They worked hard jobs for it. They have chapped hands for it.
And we're working for it right now too, but we may not get it.
They had long hours and sore backs and bad knees to get that Social Security. And if Ron Johnson does not understand that, if he understands giving tax breaks for private planes more than he understands making sure that seniors who've worked all their lives are able to retire with dignity and respect. He's not the person who's thinking about you and knows you and sees you, and he should not be your senator from Wisconsin.
Now, this is something you have to remember about Obama. He was always a great speaker. His actions, not so much, though. All talk and no action, at least when he was president. This is how he was able to win, right? Let's talk about the capitalism portion here when he brings up the fact that they worked all their lives for that Social Security. Why should you have to work your whole life? Why should you have to work? And I'm talking like my grandparents had jobs when they were like kids. When they were kids, they started working. Why should you even have to work all your life? And see, the people in the audience that are clapping and that are cheering this on, it's like that's not even resonating with them. It's like they're not getting that piece. All they hear is this speech of his. And they're like, yeah, he's saying we should keep what we got. This is great. Without really questioning what he's saying. No one in this country, the wealthiest country in the world? No one in this country should have to work their entire life. That's a big problem. Let's go on. There's more here. There's something else I picked up on that he said. Oh, the Social Security part about not electing him. So listen to this.
Respect. He's not the person who's thinking about you and knows you and sees you, and he should not be your senator from Wisconsin.
He's not the person that knows you and sees you, and he shouldn't be your senator from Wisconsin. So then how does Obama feel about Joe Biden? Because Joe Biden, I want to remind everyone, I can't play that video on here anymore because it's copyright. Last time I played it, I had to take it down. I want to remind everyone, Joe Biden said on the Senate floor that he also wanted to cut Social Security and Medicare. And what happened after that? Barack Obama made him his vice president. So should Joe Biden have not been Barack Obama's vice president since he wanted to cancel Social Security and Medicare? Should Joe Biden have not been voted for again as senator because he wanted to cut Social Security and Medicare? And see, this is where the two-party problem comes in, right? You see, it was okay when someone on the Democrat side said that because that's the same team that Obama was on. But it's not okay when someone on the Republican side says it because that's the other team. The problem is, no matter which party it is, it's wrong, period. So I'm sorry, I've been hearing this all week, right? The past week and a half. All of these pundits going on to CNN and MSNBC, they're going to take your Social Security. They want to cut your Medicare. Even Joe Biden himself on Twitter, the Republicans want to take your Social Security away. And I responded to one of them and I said, so do you. People forget. No one remembers because I do. Let's go on.
I mean, the message he's sending is pretty clear. If you're related to him, if you donate to his campaign, you get a deal. If you're not, you're out of luck and you're on your own.
Let's hear this part again.
I mean, the message he's sending is pretty clear. If you're related to him, if you donate to his campaign, you get a deal. If you're not, you're out of luck and you're on your own.
But you're out of luck and on your own regardless. Like, this is the problem. So if you donate to his campaign, you get a deal. He's giving people a deal that donate to his campaign. We don't get anything. We don't get anything. I donated a lot of money to Bernie Sanders and to the squad. I didn't get anything for that. That's why I keep telling you I want a refund. And some of you donated to them too. What did you get? What did you get but lies? It's insane. It's crazy. And he's been doing this. He's traveling all around. He's making these speeches. JB says Obama is going to realize how much juice he's lost next Tuesday. So I do want to remind you, last year, Obama came out for the gubernatorial election in Virginia. The Democrat candidate lost. Bullshit man. Sabby Sabs, great spot on Rising. Love seeing your profile grow. Oh, thank you so much, BS man. Thanks for the super chat, Steve. My brother was a narcotics detective here in LA. He said they ran into CIA several times during the Iran-Contra. Interesting. Whoa, Steve. Michael, didn't Obama try to cut Social Security unless Bernie Sanders confronted him on it back in 2010? Oh, see, I forgot about that. These are the things I wish that people who are in that audience would remember. I don't get it. Delthea, there is no reason why we all shouldn't get Social Security. Hashtag MMT. That's right. The money's there. They can do it. Kitty loves films. We live in a dystopian nightmare. Work until we die. Yeah, this whole idea, they worked all their life. I'm like, anybody questioning why people have to work all their life in the United States? Gloria, who's got our back? Obama. Well, it sure ain't you. You came to Flint, Michigan and pretended to drink the filtered lead water and then upheld the criminals who did it. We will never forget. I remember that. I remember that. Nobody asked him about that, by the way. He's still doing interviews and no one brings that up. Thank you for the super chat, Donald. I'm not saying that. The Dems' biggest base are middle-class, college-educated white and black women. Is the younger cohort of that demographic as enthusiastic for the Dem? Based on what I've seen, no. And a lot of you, if you followed me for a long time, you know, like my students were like Gen Z. A lot of the younger people are more likely to embrace socialism. And they're more likely to see that the two-party system is a joke. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when they become the older generation. And I think the Democratic Party knows that, and I think they're afraid of that. I don't know. I do not know. Now, that's one clip. Now, there was another one here where Barack Obama was in Michigan, and I want to go ahead and add this here to the stream. So some of you may have been following Jose. He was the one that actually called out AOC during that town hall, also called out Jamal Bowman about the funding that's going to Ukraine and the possible threat of a nuclear war. I agree 100% with Jose on this. I don't agree with him on some of the other issues that his organization is fighting for. Diane Sayre was on here Friday. I did not agree with her opinion or her take on climate change per se, but I do agree with confronting these politicians, right, about where they have failed, regardless of the administration that's in power or not. So here is Barack Obama in Michigan at another rally again, trying to get people to come out and support the Democratic Party this November. And let's just say Barack Obama has also been confronted about this funding to Ukraine and the threat of a nuclear war.
You overthrew Ukraine in 2014! You overthrew the legitimate Ukraine in 2014! Tell us about your plans for nuclear war with Russia! Stop provoking nuclear war with Russia! You're going to kill us in nuclear war! Russia's the enemy! Russia is not the enemy! Russia's the enemy! Stop getting us into nuclear war with Russia! No nuclear war! Victoria knew and financed the overthrow!
Mr. President, there's more people that are going to get hurt if we go into nuclear war. Right now, we're on the verge of nuclear war thanks to what you did in Ukraine in 2014. Why won't you tell the truth about what you did to overthrow Ukraine in 2014? Will you tell the truth? Will you tell the truth?
There is a process that we set up in our democracy.
Yeah, but we're on the verge of nuclear war. Do you care about the lives of your supporters? Will you tell the truth before the world walks into world war? The coup of 2014 is on your doorstep. You were the one that allowed for a radical Do you respect the lives of your own supporters? Will you tell the truth to us, or will you give back your peace crimes?
See, this is another example, and I know some people don't agree with this, right? They don't like people doing this, and they may say, oh, it's really rude for them to do that. But when are you going to have the opportunity to speak to them about this otherwise, right? It's not like they're going to your communities on the regular. It's not like Obama's every day he's going to be in Michigan and just sit down and talk with the younger people, to talk with these voters. So when they have these town halls, that is your opportunity to do that. So here is another example of protesters, and they've been going after everybody. I think Cory Booker also was confronted. I think I saw that earlier this morning. Ilhan Omar, we talked about that as well. But they've been going after everybody, and rightfully so. This is another way to get that message across to more people, all of those people that are in those rallies. And then these videos go viral. This video has over 230K views. So a lot of people have seen this. And I really want the American people to wake up here and stop believing, or stop being so easily to believe the State Department talking points without doing your own research. We've fallen for this before. We cannot fall for this again. So I think I agree with what happened here. Now let me come out here. Now, Jose goes on here, and this is where you can see Obama's response here. So I want you to hear this as well. Let's get into it.
Making wild, crazy allegations about them. That creates a dangerous climate.
You created a dangerous climate. People having a difference of opinion, I don't feel creates a dangerous climate. What I do feel is that people like Obama, Clinton, Bush, both the Bushes, throw both of them in there. All of them, all the presidents during my lifetime, they have created these dangerous climates because they can't seem to keep their hands off of other countries and their resources and their people. And they've destroyed their countries. They've destroyed the people. And then they want to complain and ask questions. Why are they coming here? Would you want to live in a country that is nothing but rubble now, where all the resources have been extracted by the United States government? You wouldn't want to stay there either. So I don't think people having a difference of opinion, no, that is not the dangerous climate. The dangerous climate is the things that the United States government has been doing to these other countries, which causes them to hate Americans, the American people, when we actually had nothing to do with it at all. All for the military industrial complex, all to make money, to make Raytheon happy, to make Lockheed Martin happy. It's all about profit.
And if elected officials don't do more to explicitly reject that kind of rhetoric, if they tacitly support it or encourage their supporters to stand outside voting places armed with guns and dressed in tactical gear.
Who in the crowd was armed with guns and dressed with tactical gear? So here is Obama. You be careful if you listen to what he's really saying. He's asking for them to control the rhetoric. He's asking for censorship. That's what he's really asking them to do. He doesn't want them to be able to say these things at all. See, he's still a puppet, right? Like, he's no longer president, but he's still a puppet. He's still controlled.
More people can get hurt. And we're going to be violating the basic spirit of this country.
People are hurt by the words that they said to you from the audience. People are hurt. No, I don't think people are hurt. I think Obama's embarrassed. I think that's what's really going on.
Yes. So, sir, wait, come on. But this is what I mean. This is what I mean. I mean, we're having a conversation.
And for the people who are cheering Obama in the audience, they are just so blinded by Obama's presence and his charisma and some of that identity politics as well, that they're not even taking the time to listen to what the people in the audience are actually saying. Probably won't even research it when they get home, because they have this idea of hero worship, right? They've been told to love Obama, to support Obama. First Black president, you need to praise Obama. How dare you be rude and mean to Obama? Hero worship in politics in our country is incredibly dangerous. Politicians should not be treated like celebrities. And you don't just see this with Barack Obama. You see it with members of the squad. You've seen this. I've seen this over my lifetime. And all I can say is this: it's dangerous because it gives the masses the idea that these individuals cannot be challenged, whether it's intellectually, whether it is emotionally. They cannot be challenged because of who they are. And that is dangerous.
Come on. Sir, this is what I'm saying. Look, there is a process that we set up in our democracy. Right now I'm talking. You'll have a chance to talk sometime soon.
So what does democracy have to do with being interrupted? This is basically, you see how they keep bringing the word democracy into everything?
You don't have to interrupt each other. You don't have to shout each other down. It's not a good way to do business. It's not, you wouldn't do that at a workplace. If you wouldn't just interrupt people in the middle of a conversation.
So he says you wouldn't do that at a workplace. You wouldn't just interrupt people in the middle of a conversation. I beg to differ. It depends on the workplace. Because if any of you have worked in the restaurant industry like I have, oh, there's a lot of interrupting and there's a lot of cussing, especially back in the kitchen. I worked in higher ed, where also, if you're in a meeting with some of these faculty members, there's a lot of interrupting and cussing. So it depends. If you work in manufacturing, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of interrupting and a lot of cussing. So what workplace is Obama talking about? He's talking about the professional managerial class. He's talking about people like him. And to be fair, this is not a workplace. This is a rally. What do people do at rallies? They chant, they yell, they cheer. It has nothing to do with that. If this guy was screaming, "I love you, Obama," Barack Obama wouldn't have any rejection to it. He has rejection to it because this gentleman is criticizing Barack Obama. That's the problem.
Not how we do things. And this is part of the point that I want to make. Just basic civility and courtesy works. And that's what we want to try to encourage.
Basic civility and courtesy works, and that's what we want to encourage. Civility hasn't really gotten us anywhere. You know, I hear people talk about this idea of civility politics. Where has that gotten us? Because to be clear, Barack Obama, I was civil when I voted for you twice. And we're going to get to the wealth aspect of this in just a second. I was civil when I voted for you twice. The first time I voted for you, I said, well, you know, the economy was already bad under Bush. He inherited that economy. Maybe we need to give him another chance. And we give you chances. And you chose Wall Street over the American people. And you gave us Trump. That's how we ended up with Donald Trump. Because you let down the working class. This was the Democratic Party walking away from the working class people. This was the Democratic Party kissing ass to the coastal elites and the Goldman Sachs. So the civility politics, we tried that. That didn't get us anywhere. If you think that economically people in this country are going to continue to sit back and allow this to happen, allow you to screw them over and to use them while you continue to get rich and write all these books, and you continue to buy homes on Martha's Vineyard off of lies and off of deceit after people stood in line to vote for you. If you think, and all of the other politicians out there, if you think that the American people are going to continue to sit back and continue with that for so long, you are mistaken. And that's why you got someone like Trump. Let's go back in.
So, listen, that's okay. No. Wait. Quiet down. Look, listen, hey, hold up. Hold on a minute. This is, listen, everybody. Hey.
See, he's not used to this. Obama is used to, especially with like Democratic voters. I think, you know, he's starting to see more of this now. But especially with like Democrat voters, Obama is used to them kissing his ass. It's kind of the way that it's been. And now you see differently, right? He see differently now.
Y'all up there, pay attention.
When you lose control of the room, that's not good. Something about Obama, he was always able to have some type of command of the room. He could read the room, right? He's not used to this. So that's why you hear him telling the people at the top, hey, pay attention. You have to know how to read the room. And it just seems like now that maybe, I don't know if he's not used to, he can't do that anymore, or if it's more so that people have just had enough and they're like, no, the charisma and the lies, it doesn't work anymore. It does not work. Now, this wasn't the only speech, because like I said, he's been making the rounds because he made a speech in Georgia too. Again, him and Bernie Sanders, they're making these rounds. They're like, we got to get out there and help them win. We got to get out there and help them win. So here's part of Obama's speech in Georgia talking about Herschel Walker and Warnock. Now listen to this one.
It's a study in contrast. Now, there are a lot of young people here. I love, yes. That makes me excited. Some of you may not remember, but Herschel Walker was a heck of a football player. I mean, some of you are too young to remember, but in college, he was amazing. One of the best running backs of all time. But here's the question. Does that make him the best person to represent you in the U.S. Senate? Does that make him equipped to weigh in on the critical decisions about our economy and our foreign policy and our future?
Something I want to jump in and say here, you know, first of all, this race between Warnock and Herschel Walker shouldn't even be as close as it is. And the gentleman I was with on the panel this morning on Rising, he mentioned that Warnock has a 3-point lead. That's not a bragging point. Warnock is the incumbent. Herschel Walker is an ex-football player that said some crazy shit. Like, seriously, it should have never even been this close. You see the problem? Barack Obama shouldn't even have to go to Georgia to help a sitting senator, a sitting Democrat senator, beat an ex-football player who has no political experience. It shouldn't even be this close.
Let's do a thought experiment. Let's say you're at the airport and you see Mr. Walker and you say, hey, there's Herschel Walker, Heisman winner. Let's have him fly the plane. You probably wouldn't say that. You'd want to know, does he know how to fly an airplane?
So, I'm sorry, but it's not like Warnock had all that experience, that political experience either. It's just, you know, it's really sad. I'm looking at all the young people and I'm looking at the universities like Clark Atlanta here, like on her shirt, all the young people that came out to this rally, they mainly came out to see Barack Obama. It's not like they necessarily came out to say, yes, I want to come to this rally to support Warnock. No, they came to the rally to see Barack Obama because he's treated as such like this celebrity figure. And you know what's really sad? It reminds me when Joe Biden went to Georgia and told all these kids, especially the ones from these HBCUs, if you guys put Warnock and Ossoff in DC, I'll make sure you get those $2,000 checks. And that didn't happen. It also reminds me when Joe Biden told these students at the HBCUs, if you went to a HBCU and you make over $125,000 a year, I will forgive all your student loan debt. That did not happen. And here comes Barack Obama speaking to the same group and demographic again. To do what? How can you ask these kids to go out and support the Democratic Party again after you reneged on every promise that you made to them just 2 years ago? How can you do it? Look, there's a reason why this race is as close as it is. It should not be. There's a reason why Stacey Abrams is getting destroyed by Brian Kemp when last time when she ran against him, it was a close race. You see the difference? Because people are realizing that they're being lied to. People realize that they're being used. But make no mistake, these kids came out to see Barack Obama. How many of them are going to show up to the polls? How many of them are going to show up to vote? Because people see these rallies and then come election day, the numbers don't turn out.
Or let's say you go to the hospital and you say, you know, that Walker guy, he sure could tear it up at Sanford Stadium. Give him a scalpel.
I don't think that's a fair analogy. There's a difference between being a medical doctor. Obviously, you need training for that. You have to go to medical school, and being a politician. Because there are several people that have become politicians that had no political experience. Let's be real. If you look at the members of the squad, how many of them have political experience? The only one I know of is Ayanna Pressley. She was our city councilor here. So should they not be there, Obama? I mean, I have my opinions about them not fighting for us. But would Barack Obama have been against the squad running for office? Against their incumbent? Would he have been against Jamal Bowman running against Elliot Engel because Elliot Engel had more years of political experience? What exactly is Barack Obama trying to say here? You need to be trained as a politician to be a politician? Okay.
No, you wouldn't say that. You'd ask at least. I would. Has he done surgery before?
But being a politician isn't surgery. This is an exaggeration. And it's like the people in the audience, it's like they don't get it. You see how people are asleep?
And by the way, the opposite is true too. Like, you may have liked me as president, but you would not want me starting a tailback for the dogs. I mean, can you imagine my slow, old, skinny behind getting hit by some 300-pound defensive tackle who runs a 4.6 40? You'd have to scrape me off the field. No, I can't. No, I can't.
That was terrible. Look, I'm just going to say it. If Herschel Walker beats Warnock, Colin said, in other words, he wants people to be like him. Exactly. Because you see, this is just more evidence. Again, this is the Democratic Party wanting to get a certain type of demographic and a certain type of class, getting those coastal elite liberals. That is what the Democratic Party has become. They're not for the working class. They ain't been for working class for years. Ro Khanna tried to tell me, look at all the things the Democratic Party has done. Social Security, Medicare, the labor movement, da-da-da-da. None of those things have happened in my lifetime. Did they happen in yours? None of them. What has the Democratic Party done since I've been alive for the people? They bring it up old policy, decade-old policy to tell you what the Democratic Party has done because they can't come up with anything in the past couple of years to prove their point. That's embarrassing. It really is. We're going to go to some of the comments here. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Jay says Obama bailed out the people who put him there. Phew. JB says civility politics is a tool to keep people suppressed. That's right. Christopher, a $7.25 minimum wage creates a dangerous climate. Lack of fully funding our education creates a dangerous climate. 100%, Chris. Thanks for the super chat, Mad Wolf. The con man still has them in his trance. I don't think it's working the way it used to, though, Mad Wolf. It definitely didn't work in Virginia. Thank you for the super chat, D. Doc. It's the people in the crowd still cheering for this guy that disappoint me. We ain't all gonna make it. I'm telling you, some people, they're not gonna make it there. And thank you for this super chat, Larez. They chant OB and say reps are in a Trump cult. Wow. JB says many of them probably don't know the history of Obama and the atrocious things he did. I think that's part of the problem. We're going to get into that. Thank you for the super chat, Rosie. By him insinuating people have to be qualified, he's basically saying that no ordinary people can run for office when that's actually what we need. Bingo, Rosie. He don't want everyday Joe Schmoes running for office. And thank you for this, Delthea. Didn't y'all get the memo? Only Harvard law grads should hold public office. That's what it seems like, right? And then there's this piece here, which we cannot forget about. This report came from The Intercept, but I'll never forget this article. In reference to Barack Obama, a new report looks at how Obama's housing policies destroyed Black wealth. Now, many people have tried to argue against me on this, but the data is here. The first Black president in American history was a disaster for Black wealth. Let's look at the data. Now, this article was written December 8th, 2017. Let's get into it. Barack Obama's election marked a significant turning point in American history, and it was rightly celebrated as a sign of racial progress. We're going to highlight this piece here that says racial progress, because it appears from what I saw, the only progress was for Barack Obama. Didn't really help us out much. But Obama's presidency came at a time of economic hardship due to predatory financial practices that led to a 2007 recession. That, combined with Obama's administrative flawed housing policies, led to a major decline in African-American wealth during the Obama years. Now, that was coming from the People's Policy Project. What it shows is we bailed out Wall Street. That wasn't entirely Obama's doing at all. That was Bush and the Federal Reserve, Ben Bernanke, and so forth. But housing was almost entirely under his control. Homeowners were not bailed out. Many middle-class Americans saw their wealth decimated by the subprime mortgage debacle, but African Americans suffered a particularly heavy blow because so much of that population's wealth was tied up in housing. Let me speak on this piece and then I'll show you the graphs. Let's talk about where the wealth came from. So during that time, for most African Americans, the wealth was in the home ownership. Now, wealth can be accrued in many different ways. Some people may own their home, but they may also own plots of land. They may also own a business. They may also own a car or multiple cars. There's different ways that you can accumulate wealth. But more importantly, some people have generational wealth. If you did not have generational wealth and your home was the only asset that you had, and your home was stolen from you, let's be real, let's call it what it was. Your home was stolen from you during the housing crisis, you lost your wealth. So let's look at the chart, because this is what people need to see how things changed. So this is the home equity graph. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Oh, you guys got blurry images, but we'll figure it out. We'll do it. Home equity as a percent of total wealth in 2007. So you're going to see yellow is white, green is black, and black is Latino. You thought they would have made this easier and made black, but whatever. Anywho, so you can see here, if we go from 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, this is where you see the racial wealth decline. So this is important for people to see. It says Cooper and his co-author Matt Brunig cite data from the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances that demonstrates that home equity was important to middle-class Americans of all backgrounds in 2007, but particularly important to African-American wealth. You see the change here? Right here, where it says racial wealth decline, you can see white wealth decline, black wealth decline, Latino wealth decline. Let's go on. There's another chart that I want to show you here. I'll make this a little bit bigger. Again, the same colors, right? So you can see here's 1990. So the black line is Latino wealth. The yellow line here is white wealth, and the green line is black wealth. You can see there was a point when black wealth really did like shoot up, right? Or it was doing better. 2005, that's 2010. You see the drop here? Now things have improved, but honestly, percentage of homeowners with negative equity by race. So this is the negative. So let me zoom out so I can see this better. Sorry. This is negative equity by race. So my apologies for that. So you see the difference? So the higher the percentage with this graph, the worse off you are. All the way up here at the top, 14%. Now that's going after 2010. But you see how it shot up? This is during the Obama years. This is bad. Negative equity right here. So this is something that he can't dispute. And I still see, like, when people interview him, they don't really challenge him on this. The authors point out that in terms of total wealth, the top 10% of African Americans and whites actually saw a positive change between 2007 and 2017, while most brackets saw large declines. So if you were in the top 10%, you were okay in reference to wealth. The people who were middle class and working class, those were the people that suffered the most. This is bad. So it says here, Cooper and Brunick are critical of the Obama administration's response to the financial crisis, taking aim at policies that bailed out large financial institutions while offering little help to homeowners. The authors singled out the Home Affordable Modification Program for censure to seeking to incentivize mortgage services to modify loans. What you have to understand, I'm not going to go through all of this tonight because it's a long story. But there's a documentary that you should watch called The Con that breaks down how this happened, how these banks stole homes from mainly predominantly Black Americans, some of them older Black Americans that didn't really understand some of the terminology that was on the paperwork that they were told to sign. Some of them had their signatures forged. And when all this came to a head, the president of the United States at that time chose to bail out Wall Street instead of those homeowners. So those people lost their homes and never got it back. So just like that, that is actually why Black wealth dropped so sharply during Barack Obama's administration. And we need to tell this to more people, because the people that tell me that I need to support Barack Obama just because he's Black, hells no. Barack Obama didn't support us. Show them that. Definitely should check that out. Adept says the U.S. Conference of Mayors says that the USA owes the descendants of those promised 40 acres and a mule. FBA says that the USA owes $6.2 quadrillion in reparations. So much wealth that has been lost. JB, we never owned a home in my family. My mom is 71 and never owned a home. And it's a common story. Desert Mantis say The Con is an incredible film. Yes, absolutely. JB says a huge amount of homes are being bought up by BlackRock, and many of us are becoming permanent renters now. This is a big problem. And that's another thing that's not being prevented and not being resolved. You're allowing those companies to come in and buy up homes. Why do you think it's so expensive for people to buy homes now? And it's not just here in the Northeast where I am. I have friends that live in Florida that told me even Florida is expensive to buy a home in now. It's crazy. Thank you for the super chat. None of your business. New way to steal minority wealth. Black wealth, you too. BlackRock buying housing with no interest money, inflating the prices. You can't buy or own a home back with your own sale. PRC. This is why a lot of these houses are so expensive. It's not, gentrification isn't just wealthy or professionals moving into the neighborhood. It's also corporations buying up property in that neighborhood, which jacks up the rent for the other units in that neighborhood. And nobody's stopping it. It's a problem.